Revealing the hard questions is one of the toughest things you would do. And I'm not exactly an expert on it. But I find if you read the Gospels, Jesus is one of the guys who's regularly taken on hard questions and answering them. And I have an example I can think of right now that actually breaks down 7 great things to keep in mind when you're answering those tough, difficult questions. But before you just write it off that, hey, oh, this Jesus guy is so like archaic, like 2,000 years ago, I would propose that he probably is, what we have recorded in the Gospels is so many debates and questions that he answers, and he seems to be able to answer them fairly well. Before you play the God card, I think it's just some skills that he has that you too could learn, and I'm thinking I should learn too, because I really would like to know how to answer the hard questions better. And I think in this story that we have recorded in Mark chapter 10, verses 17 and following, it's also in Matthew and Luke, but I really want to focus on how Mark takes into account for this one. So, this is how it goes. I'll just read it right out of the text here. As Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. "Good teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Now, before you go, well, I don't answer questions like that. Let's just say that is a hard question. Like, how do you take care of that? And this is where we get to point number 1. Let me keep reading. So this is Jesus. "Why do you call me good?" Jesus answered. "No one is good except God alone." So right away, Jesus says, let's point to a reference point here. It's not me, not you and I having this argument. Let's point to a reference point. And then he asks them another question, which is a question. Point number 2 is, you know the commandments. Ah. So he's like, I size you up here. You know the commandments. So he's establishing commonality between him and the man asks him the question. So Jesus establishes commonality. And then he goes through some of the commandments. And then he has the man respond. The man responds, "Teacher," he declared, "all these I have kept since I was young." Whoa. That's point number 3. Jesus has started from a common reference point. This man who was asking Jesus this hard question. Jesus, first of all, established, okay, this is who our authorities, this is how we're going to work from, and these are our commonalities, and how are you doing in regards to those commonalities? So I work in construction. And one of the sayings both is like when the trades are about to conflict, because we're all trying to work in the same area, we just remind ourselves, we're both trying to get the same job done. So let's work together. We're both here to build a house, make a paycheck, and go home. So there's no point of us fighting with each other. But then the critical number 4, and this is one that we don't want to skip over. Let me continue. So Jesus looked at him and loved him. Now, this probably wasn't the whole, blah, I'm so in love with you, all that kind of stuff. No, don't go into that. But he empathized with the man. He really wanted to win him over. He wanted to work with him. So in this, when somebody asks you tough questions, you're not trying to beat them in an intellectual argument, prove that you're the smartest man in the room. No. You are trying to help guide them along their path of figuring out the question, the quest. And Jesus did this here. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when you deliver a zinger. Jesus has many records of delivering incredible zingers in the Gospels. But this is not one of those times. This is our time Jesus bites his tongue or his lip and listens and loves the man, really wants to help guide him along to figure out this question. And then point number 5, he raises the bar just a little bit. So he started from commonality, but now he raises the bar and calls him to something better. So he raises the bar and he says, "One thing you lack." Ooh, I thought I had all the bases covered. We started from commonality. We obeyed the commandments. I've been doing that. She's like, wait a second. I love you so much to not let you overlook this. One thing you lack. Go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. Whoa. Now that's a big, huge ask. And I don't really want to go into what is Jesus trying to talk there, what he's talking about poverty, wealth, riches, and all those kind of stuff. But just simply, Jesus points out in love that there's one thing this man lacks. He raises the need. You know when you go to Mr. Lube and you pull in there and they're like, hey, we'll do a 21-point inspection for you. Do you really think they're doing a 21-point inspection just because they love to do 21-point inspections? No. They are helping you by raising the need if there's any deficiency in your vehicle that you may need to look for, like maybe that back signal light that you hadn't noticed, or maybe there's a leak on one of the back ball bearing joints. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic, but they raise the need by doing those 21-point inspection questions. So Jesus points out to this man, there's one thing you lack. Go sell everything. But he doesn't just say, go sell everything, become a poor, broke man, and everything will be... Oh, wait a second. Does he? It actually says, go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Again, I don't know exactly what that means. But Jesus reassures him, if you go for this challenge, if you do what I'm asking you to do, it will work out. The bar is raised, but he reassures them that it will be worth it. If you were to give away all your money, you will have treasures in heaven, and that would be a good thing. So he reassures. And then he does his call to action. This is it. Now, two things. Quick little story. When I used to be a framer, on those hard, dreary days, when you just didn't really want to frame, one thing I would like to do is I'd channel my inner Mel Gibson and I'd get up and I'd give that speech. Yes, if you frame today, you may die, but you would give every day from this one forward for one chance. One chance. Remember that scene in Braveheart? Same thing has happened as Jesus. He calls the man to action, to come and follow him. This is your next step. If you truly want to go to the next level, this is the next step. Come, follow me. And he has reassured him that it's all worth it. So those are the 8 points. And one more point to keep after that. But let's just go through the 8 points again. First of all, establish a common reference point. Bridge your commonalities between the two of you. Start with your reference point in answering the question. Empathize with them or simply love them. Raise the need. It's one thing you lack. 6, challenge them. The great offer. 7, call them to action to do better. And 8, always reassure the person that whatever the hard question is, it would be worth it to do the change that you're offering and challenging them to do. And this is probably the hardest point to remember, but we cannot forget that this is how the story ends. At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. Even if you do this perfectly, it does not mean you'll always win. The person will not always change. The actions that you desire will not always happen. Even if they themselves come to you asking, what should I do next? What is my next step? What should I do in this situation? Even though you've helped them, walk them through the process perfectly, it does not mean that they will do as you advised. But it doesn't mean that you advised them incorrectly.